Hi there, welcome to Ask Dr. Patel, where I answer your questions about medical marijuana. And today we're going to talk about the topic of marijuana and depression. So, as you can imagine, I have a lot of patients coming into me with a lot of concerns about using marijuana medically. And just the other day, a family member of a patient asked me, does the use of marijuana increase the risk of depression? And another way that people often ask me this question is, does marijuana cause depression? So these are great questions to ask. And the person who asked me this question, they specifically asked me because they themselves had used pharmaceutical drugs to treat their own depression. And what they found was that some of the antidepressants that this person was on actually made their depression worse. So I'm sure you've seen the television ads for antidepressants, where at the very end they'll start to very quickly rattle off the risks of taking the medication, right? So they'll say things like, oh, by the way, this medication may make the symptoms of your depression worse, or it can even cause suicidal or even homicidal thoughts. So basically, if one person has this concern, then I'm sure there are others out there who have this concern as well. And so that's why I want to address this whole topic. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the results of 3 different studies. And these are 3 different studies that are done on marijuana and depression. And they fairly accurately represent the results that I've seen in the patients that I've treated in my practice. So let's start with study number 1. So this particular study was published in 2006, where they surveyed 4,400 adults. And these adults were basically fell into 3 different categories of marijuana users. There were those that used marijuana 7 days a week. Let's call them daily users. Then there were those that used marijuana less than 1 day a week. Let's call them weekly marijuana users. And then there were those that never used marijuana. Now, the results showed that the daily and the weekly marijuana users reported less depressed mood. So what does that mean? So basically, depressed mood consists of not being able to shake off the blues, even with help from family or friends, feeling depressed, feeling lonely, having crying spells, feeling sad. So again, the daily and the weekly marijuana users reported feeling less of these symptoms. Now, they also reported feeling more positive affect. So basically, positive affect includes feeling just as good as other people, feeling hopeful about the future, also enjoying life. And again, the daily and the weekly marijuana users reported feeling more of these characteristics. The results also showed that the weekly marijuana users reported feeling fewer somatic symptoms. So this includes feeling bothered by things that usually don't bother a person, having a poor appetite, feeling like everything is an effort, having restless sleep, not being able to get going. And so overall, the researchers concluded that the data suggests that the risk of depression is not increased in adults who use marijuana. Now, study number 2. This was published in 2006, and this study looked at the relationship between marijuana use and the development of depression years later on down the line. So basically, the researchers followed about 8,700 adults between the ages of 27 and 39. And this was beginning in 1979 all the way through 2002. And over the years, these participants were asked, number 1, about their frequency and duration of marijuana use, and also their mood. And overall, they found that for every 100 participants, 23 of the marijuana users reported depression, and 21 of the non-users reported depression. So basically, the researchers concluded that marijuana use does not significantly predict depression later on in life. Now, study number 3. So this was published in 2012, and in this case, this was actually a pretty big study. The researchers followed about 45,000 Swedish men, and what they did was they reviewed their military records when they were being drafted to see if they admitted or denied the use of marijuana. And the researchers then followed up on their hospital records over the next 35 years to check for a diagnosis of depression. They found that of the approximately 45,000 men, a total of 14% had used cannabis at the time that they were drafted. So this was between the ages of 18 and 20. And 2.5% had been diagnosed with depression over the next 35 years. So when they did some more statistical analysis on these numbers, they found that there was no increased risk of future depression among those who had used marijuana between the ages of 18 and 21. Now, what have I seen in the patients that I've treated? So I've treated patients that have come to me who have been diagnosed with depression and are being treated for it. And I've also seen patients that don't have a diagnosis of depression on their chart, nor do they show any symptoms of depression. And basically, in both of these groups of patients, I haven't had any reports that using marijuana medically has either led to symptoms of depression in those without a diagnosis of depression, or has worsened existing symptoms in those who already have a diagnosis of depression. So more specifically, these patients have not reported the symptoms of more depressed mood, less positive affect, or any somatic complaints as I detailed in study number 1. So there you go. I hope you found this information helpful. And as always, if you have questions for me, I want you to post them in the comment section below, and I will be more than happy to answer them in the next video. And thank you for joining me this time around. Bye.